Learning to build an AI chatbot is one of the best choices you can make right now. 90% of your day is probably answering the same question over and over again, or looking up information that you have trouble finding. Simply put, having a custom chatbot streamlines the time from question to answer, shortening that gap so that you can save time, energy, and money. Meaning this can streamline a business, or it can be a product you offer to other businesses to make money. And now I want to make this clear. A lot of people think that chatbots are just an annoying customer service tool that you have to go back and forth with. That's the old chatbot. In 2023 and beyond, chatbots can be your editor, your lawyer, your doctor, your personal assistant, your employee. It can really be anything. So whether you want to build an AI chatbot to help streamline your business, or you want to go out and sell it to other clients as part of your AI automation agency and charge thousands of dollars, I'm going to walk you through live the step-by-step process of me building an AI chatbot so that you can go ahead and implement it into any business. Now, the truth is that this is actually quite simple, but there are a lot of small things that you cannot miss. So make sure that you're paying attention for the entire process so that you don't miss anything. Now, before building a chatbot, the first question you have to ask is, what am I building this for and why am I building it? Because this will inform how you want to build it. Now, do you want to build a simple and super powerful chatbot but has some customization limitations? Or do you want to build something that's more robust, but the customization aspect of it means that it's going to be more complex? This will decide what type of chatbot you want to build. For example, let's say you were building an internal chatbot and the team that you're working with, they want to get their hands dirty with it as quick as possible so that they can see a proof of concept and see if they want to make it external facing. In this scenario, you're probably better off building a simple chatbot so that they can get their hands on it as quick as possible and start exploring with the tool. Now, on the other hand, let's say you're working with an e-com business or you run an agency and you need something client facing. In this scenario where you know that you're going to need it, but there's a lot of custom builds and custom features that you need, you're probably better off building out the more robust and customizable chatbot. And I'm going to walk you through how to build each of these types of bots. But before we walk into that, one of the things that most people skip out on or just entirely miss the point is about the importance of training data. There's a saying in data science that garbage in is garbage out, meaning that if you're putting in junk, you're going to get a junk response. So how you format the training data is absolutely critical. So first, I'm going to walk you through getting that training data and formatting properly. Then I'm going to walk you through building these two different types of chatbots and how to do it step by step. Okay, so the first step is learning how to get training data. So what is training data? When you're building a custom bot, imagine that you're building a bot that's mac and cheesy. ChatGPT, maybe they should, but they don't have information about me. So if you're asking like, oh, what's mac and cheesy's first name? It'd be like, I have no idea what his first name is. You need to create training data so that you can create a custom bot. So it's like, what's mac and cheesy's name? Oh, it's Austin. Because we're adding custom information that normally isn't readily available in a traditional bot. So we need training data. And one of the things I mentioned, right, garbage in, garbage out. So we need to properly format it. So in this video, I'm going to be walking through getting training data for an article I recently wrote, how I went from 60 plus hours a week to approximately 10 hours a week at a corporate job and eventually quit. The goal is we're going to create an FAQ from this page. This is just an article, right? Create an FAQ from this page that can easily be ingested into a custom chatbot so that people can ask questions about this. And I'm going to be going through quick this entire tutorial. So throughout the entire thing, if and when I'm going too quick, feel free to pause and go back to it. So the first step here is I want to take this data and then properly serialize it so that it can be formatted to then ingest it into a custom bot. So here's a prompt that I've used. You are a top data scientist who knows how to analyze articles and create properly formatted FAQs so it can be used to train chatbots. You are assigned to analyze text and create an FAQ that can be copy and pasted into a text file and then uploaded as training data for a chatbot. For each FAQ, convert the questions into a user query and answer the following response. And you can go through it as I go through this to convert this dialog user bot, create an FAQ from this page. So now this is the FAQ that I need to then bring in. What do I do here? Well, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to bring this in and let's run this. So I just brought in a raw article and now it's creating properly formatted information. information. Who is the author of this document? The author of the document is a person known with the pseudonym Mac and Cheesy, also named Austin. That's facts. User bot. Okay, it's going to keep going. For the sake of time, we're going to speed this up and go to the end of it. Okay, beautiful. It created this training data where it's user bot. It has all the information here. I copy and pasted it from ChatGPT into Notion so that I can just easily download it into a text file. You can bring it in anywhere. Just the whole idea is that I can then export it to an HTML PDF, something that's easily analyzed. Let's take a look at the answers. FAQ, 60 to 10 hours a week. Can you share some tips on how to automate tasks and work efficiently? Start by auditing your entire day to understand what you spend time on. Identify which tasks can be automated or improved. For instance, if you're spending too much time moving your mouse, write a script for it. If you're checking emails for 3 hours, find ways to make it more efficient. That's some good advice, and that sounds like the article I wrote. So while you're going through this, you want the FAQ and the data that you're ingesting to cover a couple things. So one, cover a broad range of possible dialogue. So think about the different types of questions that customers may ask and create dialogues that cover this. This is the starting point, but you can build out on top of this. Also use like real world language and phrasing. How would somebody really ask this question? It should mirror how your customer or the person that are going to be engaging will speak. Also include variations. Ask the same question multiple ways so that if a person asks the same question in a different style, you're able to provide an answer because people are going to be engaging in this, not robots. So they're going to speak differently. So this is part of the serialization of the data itself. We're bringing it in. Now you may have to scrape data. You may have to build things that go and get the information. You can do a lot of this manually. For scraping, that's a touch more complicated. There are some good tools out there, one of which is actually Bardeen, and you can check that out. The point of this video isn't to talk about Bardeen, but you can actually go check that out and figure out ways to automate scraping to get information to then serialize. So we have the information, we have the training data. Now we need to decide, do we need a simple bot or a more complex bot? In this scenario, I'm going to start with a simple and then build from there. So you have this training data, and then let's go to ingestai.io, sign in or create an account. So once you're able to log into Ingest AI, this is a tool to create custom models and then create custom chatbots. And so the first step that you're going to want to do is go to custom models and then do vector storage. Then here, we're going to want to click add library. And basically what we're doing is creating a library that's based on the data that we're ingesting. And then let's call it AI incubator bot data. The two values that are here is like creativity. So how creative do we want the responses for this training data? Depends. This is variable. I'm going to lower this. And library detailization. Think of this like if you were to write a book, if you were to cut the book a bunch, the story probably wouldn't make much sense. So if you're ingesting a data that has very story-rich information, you're going to need high detailization. But if it's the opposite, where it's not necessarily data-rich or story-rich, something like an Excel sheet where each row can live on its own, you can lower this value. That's a little complex. That's a whole other video. But basically, if it's a story or closer to a story, make it high. If it's closer to a spreadsheet, make it lower. So in this case, it's like FAQs. I'm actually going to make it a little bit lower. Let's save that. So now we have the ability to upload files. So here, I'm going to come back to my FAQ. I'm going to download this. I'm going to download it as a PDF. Or an HTML rather. Let's save you. It downloads as a zip. Upload here. Beautiful. So when I refresh the page, here's the data uploaded, read it, analyzed. So we created the model. Now what do we want to do? We want to create an app. So you come in, custom apps, create app, then customize AI with your data. Which AI model are you going to use? Let's just use ChatGPT 3.5 for this. Which library you're going to use? AI incubator bot data. Let's call this AI incubator chatbot. Create the app. Now we've created the app, and for the sake of this, let's come in here. We could web chat and then hi. Who is Mac and Cheesy? Okay, great. Mac and Cheesy is the online handle of Austin, the author of the article. He is a former software engineer at a top bank in the world who managed to reduce his working significantly by implementing various strategies. Beautiful. That makes sense. So then let's come in here. How can I save time in my day-to-day? To save time in your day-to-day, work smarter, not harder. This can include delegating tasks, automating tasks as much as possible, and developing better management strategies for emails. Create a document for frequently asked questions to reduce the time spent answering repetitive queries. Try to avoid unnecessary meetings and focus on beautiful. Beautiful. You get the point. It's able to answer questions about this article quickly and effectively. We were able to just create this bot in under 2 minutes. What have we done? Well, we created and generated training data from a raw information source. We uploaded that and created a library that can then be used to train a chatbot. We then deployed the chatbot, tested it, and we saw, okay, this is answering the questions that I wanted it to answer. And we're seeing in real time the value it can have. But this is pretty simple, right? It can't do everything that we're looking for, doesn't really allow for a ton of customization. This is just one tool, and these tools are constantly changing. Ingest AI, even since the last time I was here, it looks a touch different. They're going to be adding features, and these tech companies constantly are. But let's go into other tool that allows for more complex and robust builds. So now I'm going to walk you through the more complex way that you can actually build out a chatbot, giving you more variability. And again, I'm going to walk through this quickly. I'm showing you the possibilities and how you can actually use them. And these are all tools in your toolbox as you build this out yourself. And I'm going to walk you through step by step here. So first, we log in and we're going to create a chatbot on the top left here. So congratulations, just creating a new chatbot. Let's start editing. Okay, let's edit this bad boy. Asking me a bunch of stuff here. Let's click start from a template, and we're going to start basic. We're starting from scratch here. So now we're in the workspace where you have your starting and ending point. This is where we're going to be building our entire chatbot canvas. So here's start. You're able to create different nodes, and think of a node as a cross in the road. You can either go this way or you can go that way. So let's create a standard node, and each of these nodes can have different cards in it. These cards can send a message, they can execute code, they can implement logic, they can capture information, they can do a bunch of different things. And it's on you to actually choose what you want it to do and when. In this case, we're going to have it send text, and then we also want it to have a question. Each of the nodes process information from top to bottom. So it'll then send the text, and then it'll go to the single choice. So hello and welcome. For this, we are going to be creating a bot that, using the data set that we've already looked at, 60 to 10 hours a week, basically providing information on how people can save time and be a source. It'll create a bot on helping people save time. Now, the thing here is I'm going to be showing the different tools in the toolbox for creating a chatbot on this platform. Using this, you can then extend it and implement it in different ways. So here we're going to select single choice, email, then let's call it management, let's call it daily tasks. And then here we're actually able to create a variable. And then I'm going to label this why here. And that'll capture that information. Why are they here? Like, why do they want to save time? You'll see on the right side here, if I zoom in, each of these different pathways. Let's say they were to say email and I wanted to do one thing. Let's say they were to do management, I wanted to do another. In this scenario, I don't really care what they do or what they say. So instead, I'm going to have an expression here. And then this, I'm just going to label it true. So no matter what, it goes to this next block. Here, I'm going to create another node. So what this expression is doing is basically based on a specific condition. In this scenario, the condition is true, so that it will progress to the next route. Throughout the entire process, as you're building a chatbot, you're able to actually test it out. Down here, hello, what do you want to save time on? And then let's actually add a message here just so that we can see it for testing. Let's just label this test. But what do you want to save time on? Email. Beautiful. We got test. Okay, so it progressed along. We don't want it to test. So let's actually pull in a variable from the last message. Why are they here? Okay, so it's like great to here. We can totally help you save time on blank. Now let's just showcase another example of how you can process information. So the next node that we're going to do is time saving. So this is your time spent weekly. So we're going to ask, how many hours a week do you spend on this? And this is going to be a number. And we're going to store a variable and time spent weekly. One of the things here is we're going to have to make sure that our variables are in line. So let's say, okay, we have Y here. We have time spent weekly. We're going to also calculate time spent annually. As part of this experience, we want the customer to feel like, oh, wow, I'm going to be saving a lot of time annually. So we're going to calculate this. So we created a variable, time spent annually. Then we have another variable, bot next message. Using this variable, we'll be able to set the next message that the bot actually writes, and then use this throughout. This becomes handy when we're working with JavaScript code and we're executing that directly. To access the variables, let's say you're clicked onto this node, just click anywhere in the workspace and you'll be able to see all your variables. So here's our time savings. And then if you want to execute code, you come over here, click execute code. In here, I've already brought that in. And then you click edit here. And I brought in some simple code. We have our weeks per year. Let's call that 52. Time spent annually is equal to time spent weekly, time weeks per year. If you want to access any of the variables that you've already defined throughout this workflow, you can use the workflow object. This will come in handy. And then, so, okay, you spend approximately plus workflow time spent annually, hours annually. You get the point. This is super simple JavaScript. You can actually use ChatGPT to help write this code. Let's just see where we're at now. Let's restart the bot. Let's say, hi, what do you want to save time on? Management. How many hours a week do you spend on this? Let's call it 10. Would you look at that? I haven't actually sent a message. Let's bring that in. Again, we're doing this live. Bot next message, and you'll actually see a great place to troubleshoot. So you can actually click a play button here, restart the conversation from here. So how many times do you spend hourly on this? Let's call it 10. It wants us to actually restart. That's fine. Let's call it 10. You save approximately 52 hours annually on this. 52 times 10 adds up. Let's move on to our next block. Let's do an expression. Let's set this as true. Let's go to our next node where we're actually going to be training AI. Here we're going to ask a question to a custom AI bot using the training data that we've already set. So let's add a card, and here we're going to use raw input. And so this is what question you have. Give it to us, ladies and gentlemen. What question do you have about, and let's actually take in their response from why they're here. So what question do you have about that? And part of this is we're actually going to want to check enable knowledge answering. So here we're going to be able to answer questions from our knowledge base. But first, as we learned from the last chatbot, we have to actually ingest it with our training data. So you come up here, add knowledge base. Let's call this 60 to less than 10 training article. The documents, we're going to add an HTML. We upload that, bada bing, bada boom. So I'm actually going to rename this AI training data. So now we have the training data here. Let's take this raw input. We're able to get knowledge-based answers. So if you hover here, knowledge-based answers are enabled on this node. The bot will try and answer questions while listening on a capture card on this node. Perfect. When you're doing knowledge-based answers, there's a chance that it doesn't know the answer that the person asked. So we have to handle that scenario. In here, let's add a additional expression, but in here we're actually going to have some logic that's associated with it. What we're going to do is we're going to reference our knowledge agent and see if there is an answer. So this variable will return if there's an answer, right? This is an exclamation point. So that in coding, exclamation point is not. So this is something that you actually will see whenever there's logic in a code base. That exclamation point is not. So there is no answer. Okay, so if there is no answer, and let's actually label this no answer, so it's clear when we're looking. Okay, if there's no answer, let's go over here. Let's add a standard node, and let's say ask again. Let's add text here. Let's say, sorry, I don't have an answer. That's good. Let's say it does have an answer. So remember that when you're going through these different cards, it goes top to bottom. So if it gets broken off here, that means it'll never actually hit this expression. So anything that there is an answer, it'll come to this card. If there isn't an answer, it'll come to this. So it goes top to bottom. So here, let's just say true. Basically think of, if you have any coding experience, if else. If this happens, do this. Otherwise, do this. So now let's create a new block, and then let's call this continuous questions. And then let's add another question. Let's call it, do you have any other questions? Let's add yes, no. If yes, let's actually bring it back here. We're creating a infinite loop. We're also going to bring in from the no answer to the continuous questions. Oh, there's no answer. Let's go and reuse this. The big thing here is we don't want to reuse or rebuild this block. The more code and the more blocks that you have to maintain, the more work it's going to be. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a change in one place and you're going to forget to change it in another. A general principle when building anything technical is you never want to rewrite the same thing. That's because you then have to maintain it in multiple places, and that leads to issues and bugs. We have the ability to ask the question. If there's no answer, we can ask again. If there is an answer, it'll be prompted to ask another question. Let's try this out. Hi, hello and welcome. What do you want to save time on? Email. How many hours do you spend a week on this? Let's call it 21. 21. Can you do Okay, you spend approximately 1,092 hours annually. What questions do you have about email? How can I save time on email? One way to save time on email is by managing your emails effectively. You can create rules in your email provider to forward. Ooh, this is juice. So this is from the article. The chatbot is working as intended. Where do we go from here? Well, this is obviously pretty straightforward and simple. And the idea was to showcase the different options that you have. We go through different logic here and different types of bots. What we can do now is actually clean this up so it's looking sexy, it's looking pretty. Let's say they were answered a no. What we do is we come here, bring this to end, and this is pretty nice from the BotPress team, but when a user reaches this node, conversation is ended and the user is redirected to the conversation end workflow. You can see that here, conversation end. Let's say every single time a person ends it, and we've seen this, you want the bot to be like, hey, how did you experience this? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Can you provide some feedback? Oh, we'd love to give you a discount. Whatever it is, this is the end flow. You may see that the AI is actually somewhat limited here, and that's fine. And you may want a more robust way to actually build this out. And there are different tools that you can do that. You can build your own custom ChatGPT API where you hit an endpoint and it uses your custom prompt and you build it all out in Python. That seems pretty complicated. Another tool that you can use is Stack AI. They call it the middle layer of AI. What you're able to do with this is build out an AI response the chatbot can then leverage. So think of this as, hey, I'm building this custom chatbot, and this is all the logic that's going here. I then also want to build a more robust custom way to give responses to the chatbot. So you can use tools like this to actually integrate it. You will execute code to hit an exposed API endpoint from this code base. We're not going to dive into that because we're probably running on a long video at this moment. Let's say you want to publish the chatbot and have somebody start using it. Come up here, click publish. It'll take time to publish. Once you do that, you can hit share. And now you can start playing around with the chatbot and you can start testing it and having people play around with it. And if you want some more robust ways to actually integrate it, you click on your bot that you just made. You go to settings, go to pre-configured. You can use this link. You can embed it. You can use a script block in your code. And these are different ways that you can actually integrate this bot in a more formal setting. Now, I've just walked through the step-by-step process of building an AI automated chatbot. This can help you problem solve, data capture, dealing with clients, customer service, really anything. And you can take this and implement this in a business today or charge people money for it for your AI automation agency. However, of course, this is easier said than done. Now, there's a ton of edge cases. There's scenarios where you don't know how to get the necessary data and format it properly. Chatbots simply just won't provide the answer that you're looking for, or you don't even know if this is the right solution for your business. Now, it's worth noting that this is just one tool in the AI automation toolbox. And just because it's a tool doesn't mean you should always use it. So if you want to learn more about AI integration, when to use certain tools and how to make sure that they're actually working and they're actually providing value to businesses, all without having to struggle through the pain points and grind of learning a new skill set, go check out this video where I walk through step by step how to go through this learning process so you don't have to struggle yourself. Go check that out. I'll see you over there. Let's keep building.